Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is called We Are All Connected. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, let's try it again. More energy this time. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. You're lucky. I didn't make you do calisthenics, but maybe. Anyway, I'm the Reverend Dr. Suzanne Introligator, and my pronouns are she and hers. And I don't know about you, but I am so ready for spring. Don't like that cold weather this morning. You can see my dress. I was just gonna say, I've started to shop in a catalog for teachers. And this dress is called In Celebration of the Pollinators, and it's got big bees all over it. So I am consciously willing spring toward us. We are, thank you, the bees. We are a vibrant and caring community dedicated to our 6 values, all centered around love. If you are joining us for the first time, we have a greeter here to answer any questions you might have. That person is wearing a yellow stole and, of course, out in the hallway, so I can't point to them. But this morning, that's Beth Yergrow. Thank you, Beth. If you have any questions, please see her in coffee hour afterward. Also, thanks today to today's usher, who is Adrienne Wood, and to our coffee hour hosts, who are John Wright and Lisa Wilson Wright. We can't do this without our volunteers, so thanks to everybody. And thank you all for waking up and coming down here this morning. I appreciate it, and hi to our people on Zoom who didn't come down but are still welcome to. This is a very busy time at our church. I have a couple of announcements tonight. There will be a free Opening Doors concert here in the church at 7 p.m. The Black Legacy Project will be performing. It's a group of fantastic musicians, and it's free. It's part of our Opening Doors project, which grew out of our anti-racism team, so it's connected to the ministry of this church. We're also starting a coat collection this week, and that includes all sorts of warm clothing and personal care items. It's connected to the trip of our senior high youth group to go down to City Reach in Boston and meet people who have been impacted by homelessness. That will be happening later this month. So please bring in warm clothes, new underwear, new socks. There's a complete list of what the needs are on our website, so have a look there. I want to let you know that our pro-democracy team is now forming. We are working together to express our outrage and our grief over the joining in actions this coming week. If you'd like to join us, that information is in the newsletter. We have 2 community-wide events coming up this coming week. Please bring a friend, bring a neighbor. That's how the church grows. On Saturday, March 8th, it's our trivia night. We're having a professional trivia person come in and lead us. It'll be a really fun evening, so please bring friends to that. And then on Thursday, March 13th, we're having the second of our new Thoughtful Thursdays program. This one will be a Melrose premiere of a new movie called Dukakis, Recipe for Democracy. And it will renew your faith in humanity and in democracy, and we need that right now. So please come to that on Thursday night at 7 here in the sanctuary, Thursday the 13th. Today is the kickoff of our annual pledge drive. We are making some changes in how the pledge drive works, and Kathy Sang is here to give you more information about that. She'll be doing a small presentation in the parlor at noon today if you want more information about the pledge drive, but you're going to be getting lots of information in the weeks to come. As a special pledge drive treat, we have special music today. A guest musician, Tom Palance. Welcome, Tom. Thank you for being here. Thank you for that wonderful prelude. And we have one last announcement about a special meeting coming up, so I'm going to call forward our clerk, Gretchen Locke.
Good morning. So this is an announcement of a special meeting, which I have to do as clerk as part of the bylaws. We have a special meeting of the church will be held next Sunday on March 9th, 2025 in the sanctuary immediately following the service to discuss proposed changes to MUUC's bylaws, including a proposed new approach to senior church leadership structure. There's other updates are designed to better align our practices with our bylaws and to correct some minor editing errors. The March 9th special meeting will be informational only. No vote will be taken. A vote is planned for, a required second special meeting scheduled for April 6th. Please see posters around the building and in the information in the midweek update for links and more information. You can contact Liz Folser or myself. She's waving her hand back there if you have any questions about the content of the changes. We really look forward to a good turnout next week. This meeting is going to be informational, but also kind of fun and interactive, I promise. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Gretchen. The theme of our pledge drive this year is connections, and so we invite you to think about how you connect with our church and what that means to you. Every week we'll have a member here sharing with you what their connection to the church is and what it means. And to start us off, we have our new member, Val Zartarian. Val, where are you? There you are. Can you come forward, please, and tell us about how you connect?
Good morning. I am honored to share for a few minutes today about what this community means to me and why I give my time and resources to MUUC. I organized my thoughts around gratitude, my #1 life coping tool, and the 4 steps that Reverend Suzanne encouraged us to focus on last Sunday to get through these challenging times. Number 1, pick one thing and go deep. I'm grateful for the opportunities to join various teams and ministries. I enjoyed helping the Climate Action Team prepare last year's Earth Day service, and I'm part of the caring team that spreads cheer and help to MUUC members in need. I look forward to engaging in more groups going forward as my time allows. 2, build community. I'm grateful for the social events such as the Women's Retreat, potlucks, and summer events that provide fellowship and connection. I'm grateful to experience belonging and acceptance, sharing of vulnerabilities through joys and sorrows, for the friends I've already made and I'm getting to know better, and for new friends I'm still making here. Number 3, show up and show your values. I'm grateful to have found a spiritual home of like-minded individuals devoted to kindness, caring, and service. I'm grateful for the thoughtfully prepared worship services and sermons that always give me food for thought throughout the week, for the meaningful conversations at coffee hour, and for inspiring guest speakers such as Reggie Harris. Number 4, rest, love, and care. I'm grateful for our moments of meditation and reflection and heartwarming music, the entertaining and thought-provoking story for all ages, the reminders for self-care, and the generosity of shared caring and love among the MUUC community. I'm grateful for friends who reach out to ask how I'm doing as a federal worker, who brought me soup when I was sick, and who have invited me for walks and meals and to join in church events. I particularly want to give a shout out to my dear friend and neighbor, Karen Gabler, who brought me into this amazing community. Thanks to all of you for welcoming me and for enriching my life over the past year.
Thank you, Val. And speaking of testimonials about this community, we have a special video to share with you this morning. This was made from a series of interviews conducted by Rhea, our Director of Lifelong Religious Education, and by our new communications consultant, Emma Lambiaso. So I share with you this video made for our pledge drive this year.
So many things make me feel connected to MUUC, but I think that particularly having been part of this church for a while now, since pre-pandemic, and I saw sort of how we take care of each other during difficult times, personal, within the church. It's just such a loving, supportive, kind place for my family and for my child. And I have seen so many times, the lessons and values that we hold dear here at MUUC reflected in my daughter as she gets older. And it's been a joy.
I've been a member of the church for about 15 years or so, and I've really enjoyed working with the children. I've worked with the RE, religious education, for when my kids went through, but I also really enjoy, it gives me a hands-on activity to do. So this gives a really great opportunity to talk to some of the kids, and you're kind of doing something more tangible. And a lot of the lessons, the activities, especially this year, have been really fun to do and engaging for the kids. So overall, it's been a positive experience for me.
I feel connected to MUUC because of the people and the beliefs of the people who really care about social justice.
It's really a very progressive culture here, and it's nice to do that work with progressive people in our community of Melrose. There's plenty of things that need doing, and it's nice this church is a really good starting point.
And as tri-chair of the anti-racism team and chair of worship and being a member of the choir, it is a wonderful group of people who I feel I belong, and the connections I make in this church hold me through the days, through the months, and through the years, so that I feel I'm not alone and that I have a community around me. And it makes such a difference in my life.
Thank you. Well, I think our projector, the colors are a little off. I want you to know our people do not have blue faces. They are normal, beautiful people. But it's a really great video, and you'll be able to see it on our website soon. Now on to today's service. If you would like to connect with our order of service, this is a QR code. You can hold up your phone and take a photo of it now. It will take you to a page on our website that will tell you exactly what will happen today. But you don't really need it, because I will guide you every step of the way through. So first of all, let's turn to one another and greet each other. Say, welcome to church. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Good morning, and thank you for coming. For our call to worship today, I have another poem by the Colorado poet Rosemary Watola Tromer. This one is called Belonging. And if it's true we are alone, then we are alone together, the way blades of grass are alone, but exist in a field. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the wild thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity. Just as 35 trillion red blood cells join in one body to become one blood, just as 136,000 notes make up one symphony, alone as we are, our small voices weave into one big conversation. Our actions are essential to the one infinite story of what it is to be alive. When we feel alone, we belong to the grand communion of those who sometimes feel alone. We are the dust that hopes, a rising of dust, a thrill of dust, the dust that dances in the light with all other dust, the dust that makes up the world. Amen. Come, let us worship together. Now we light the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. Here to light ours this morning is one of the tri-chairs of our anti-racism team, Karen Gabler. Thank you, Karen.
This year, we are experimenting with some new options for our covenant space here in worship. Today, we will share the vision statement of our church adopted 1 year ago. I invite you to rise now in body or in spirit and join me as you feel comfortable. The words will appear on the screen. We envision a dynamic faith community that nourishes our liberal religious values of love, reason, conscience, and action. We foster lives of integrity, joy, and service to each other, to Melrose and neighboring communities, and to the world. And I forgot to light the chalice.
That's okay. Please, everybody, remain standing while Karen lights the chalice. And we will join in our opening hymn. It's Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, which is number 126 in the gray hymnal, but the lyrics will appear here on the screen. You're right. right. I didn't change it. You're right. It's 114, forward through the ages. That's my mistake. Thank you, Tom. You're right on it. 114. Thank you. You may be seated. Oops.
Ooh, there we go. Good morning. My name is Rhea Brown-Bright. My pronouns are they, them, for those who don't know me. And I am the director of Lifespan, or Lifelong, I never really know, religious education here at Melrose UU Church. Now, you will notice at the end of your pews and the part facing the aisle, there is yarn. I would ask that you pass a piece of yarn to each person that's in your pew with you. If you need some extra, let me know, because there is some extra up here. Now, why am I giving you yarn? Well, we are starting on a project today that will accumulate in a beautiful art piece on Celebration Sunday. But we're thinking about our connections, and I want us to think about it and visualize it in a meaningful way, right? And so, here's what you're gonna do. You'll take the first person in their line on the pew, the one who's closest to the aisle, will take their yarn, and they will make a loop, and they'll tie it. Very simple. Also, if you need any help with this, I can walk around and help. There's other folks who can help, but I am happy to help you. You will make this loop, and then you will turn to the person sitting beside you or maybe behind you, because I know some people have more or less people in their pew. And the person will take to your loop and connect again, making another loop. And then you will turn again until it's complete. And there might be more yarn than you need for your pew. And if it's fun for you during service as something to do, you can keep making a longer chain. But this will show the ways we are connected. And then in a few weeks, We will weave these around nails on a heart, showing the ways that we are connected and we choose to be connected. Of course, we're connected to the entire world. That is obvious to us, right? But we choose to be connected more deeply and more intimately, and just coming here every Sunday morning. We choose to call each other's beloved. So with that, start making your chains, and if you need some help, please let me know. All right, if you finished your chain, can you hold it up? I just want to see all the incredible connections we've created. Oh my goodness, they look so good. I love them. Okay, so you are going to leave these for me on the pews so I can collect them after service because I need them for a few weeks from now. I don't want to lose our connections. So, yeah, when you're done, put them on pews. If you want to keep working on them, that's fine. But thank you for engaging in this moment of visualizing our connection to one another and the active choice we make to love one another and to stay connected to one another in meaningful, profound ways. With that, the kids are want to head downstairs and think about generosity and a game that involves a lot of running.
Thanks, Scarlett. Thank you. Thank you for taking part in that. Every Sunday, we take time in our worship service for quiet meditation and prayer, time to reconnect with ourselves, with our highest ideals, and with our own individual sense of the divine. So let's begin that time together by relaxing into our bodies, feeling into our seats, feeling our feet on the floor, feeling connected to the earth, and breathing deeply. In this time of meditation, first we'll join in our centering song, and then we'll sit for a time of shared quiet. Then we'll speak to one another of our joys and sorrows, and I will lead us in a prayer. Our worship theme for March is generosity. And our centering song, I don't have, Tom, what's our centering song? Thank you. Make channels for the streams of love. Let that song gently guide you into our time of shared quiet. Remain seated and join in as you like. It is our tradition here every Sunday to share with one another the joys and sorrows of our lives, the personal milestones of our journey in this life together. We share with one another with deep attention, care, and love, so that the sharing helps us to get to know one another better and become ever better companions on this journey of life. I invite anyone who has sorrow to share to please come forward and speak from the microphone so everyone can hear you and see you. People on Zoom can type into the chat box and I will read them aloud. To symbolize all the joys that were shared here this morning and the joys that remain in our hearts, let this candle be for us a reminder of the many, many blessings in our lives. May we all feel grateful and express that gratitude. Please, if you would, join me in the spirit of prayer as you feel comfortable. This prayer is from Amy Zucker Morgenstern, who is our minister in Palo Alto. She's also an old friend of mine. We went to divinity school together. She writes, "The Hindu god Indra is said to have created reality as a great net with jewels at each intersection of the threads. Every jewel is reflected in every other, and they are all connected by the infinite, intricate web. The jewels are sacred, and so is the net that connects them. And so we pray. Dear God, you are the between spaces of our lives. Where one hand reaches to touch another, you are there. Where eyes meet across the crowd and find understanding, you are there. Where the spark leaps from one mind to ignite another, that is you. Wherever we connect, you are the connection. Each of us is a jewel in Indra's net, shining like dew in a spider's web. Praise to you, the web that connects us to one another. When we are in the in-between, on our way from the intolerable to the unknown, when we defy the categories that small minds invent and dare to imagine something beyond, when we seek others who are on a journey, on a threshold, on the margins, in any of the shimmering intersections of our lives, when we listen to the possibilities whispered within, and then step into mystery with trust, with fear, with trembling. May we find peace, for we dwell in your sacred place. Amen.
Our church is self-funded, supported by your generous annual pledge. You may also give to our weekly collection, which we split every month with a worthy group via our Giving Beyond Our Walls program. Remote folks can donate using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. March is the month of Music Sunday, and so our choir has decided that half of the collection plate this month will go to Apple Tree Arts. This is a nonprofit community performing arts school in Grafton, Mass., where I serve as music director, so I have a vested interest in this. Apple Tree's early childhood music program provides classes in underserved communities free of charge. Proceeds from this collection will go directly to support music classes for the Head Start programs in Webster and Southbridge, Mass. So my partner in crime this morning, Tom Palance, and I are now going to play a very subtle hint.
was really fun. Thank you. For our reading today, I'm breaking my own rule about repetition because last week's reading about belonging by social researcher and Professor Brené Brown was long and dense and maybe hard to parse. So I'm repeating just a small part of it this week because it's still true and it connects to this sermon too. This is from an interview she did with the radio program On Being about her research on the need for human belonging. Brené Brown says, "The first thing that was surprising to me is that at the very heart of belonging is spirituality. Not religion, not dogma, but spirituality. And a very important specific tenet of spirituality, which I believe cuts across faith and denomination and belief system. And by spirituality, I mean the deeply held belief that we are all inextricably connected to each other by something greater than us. And that thing that is greater than us is rooted in love and compassion. There's something bigger than us that we are connected, and we are connected to each other in a way that cannot be severed. It can be forgotten, but never severed." Unquote. I think that's kind of a great summation of Unitarian Universalism. She didn't mean it that way, but it sure sounds familiar to me. Anyway, I start my sermon today with a story. I think it was January 2004, 21 years ago. The world was different. James and I had just moved to Bangor, Wales, a few months before, for him to start his work as a professor. We were renting a lovely old house on the top of a hill, and it overlooked the whole town of 8,000 people. I'd never lived in a small town before. I'd never lived in a foreign country before. At that time, my oldest Eli was 3, and Lily was 1, just started walking, and Quinn was a vague idea in the back of my head. One morning, out of the blue, James asked me if his old friend Newt could come for a visit with his girlfriend, Rhiannon. I wasn't that excited about the idea. All I knew about Newt was that he was obsessed with Celtic culture, so much so that he'd gotten a PhD in it, and he came to our wedding in a kilt. I slowly realized that now that we were living in the British Isles, Newt would probably be visiting us more from his home in North Carolina. Well, anyway, Newt and his girlfriend Rhiannon came for a visit, and they stayed with us, and it was pleasant enough, but I didn't share their passion for Celtic music, so there wasn't much for me to talk about with them, and I was pretty much consumed anyway by caring for little kids and in a foreign country, far from home and my support system. I didn't think about that visit again at all for about 13 years, until 2017, when I happened to read that a prestigious MacArthur Genius Grant had gone to none other than Rhiannon Giddens. That was her, the same beautiful, quiet woman who once spent a week in my house. Now she's celebrated for her work rediscovering Black and Indigenous folk music. Rhiannon Giddens has played at the White House. She's recorded with Beyonce. She's been nominated for the Grammys 11 times. And she recently even won the Pulitzer for an opera that she wrote called Omar. A few years ago, it was able to go full circle. Rhiannon headlined as a special guest of the BSO, and that year I happened to win the tickets that Richard provides to our church auction. So James and I got to sit in Symphony Hall and see our old friend up on the stage. It felt like it was coming full circle again. I'm sure you have these stories too about your brushes with fame, because it was just a coincidence, and those things can happen to anyone. A coincidence that shows us just how connected we are to each other. 5 years after that, coincidentally, in January 2009, I was still living in North Wales in a different remote village where almost nothing ever happened. I tell you, it was very boring. I had 3 kids by then, and I was working in a local high school as a teacher's aide. One day, another parent called me up and asked if we wanted to go on a hike on New Year's Day. He said an American friend of his was in town and he liked to walk, and the kids could all go together and stretch their legs. Sure, why not, I said. The American friend turned out to be the humor writer David Sedaris. He was already somewhat famous in the US at that point, especially among NPR nerds like me. So I was rattled that day. I couldn't think of a single thing to say to him. I did not perform well. But luckily, he was only interested in chatting with my son Eli, who was 8 at the time. I think because 8-year-olds are usually fresh thinkers, kind of unbound by the social niceties. I think they chatted all day mostly about insects and Minecraft. Why am I telling you all this? Because it's a fun story, I think. Maybe it sounds like bragging, but I didn't meet David Sedaris and Rhiannon Giddens because I'm special in any way. They just happen to be friends of my friends. Sheer coincidence, and it could happen to any of us. In fact, I know it has happened to some of you. I know for a fact, for example, that one member of this congregation has a personal, one-step-away connection to Elon Musk. Although they might not want to talk about that these days. Weirdly, all of us in this room have a 2-step connection to the actor John Lithgow. I don't know if you know, but his aunt was a longtime member of this congregation. Weird little fact. A coincidence, or is it? I'm sure you know about that old saw about 6 degrees of separation, the idea that each of us is connected to anyone on Earth by 6 different social links, or fewer. How old is that idea?
You okay?
Is it actually true?
You okay?
The concept of 6 degrees dates back to a short
going
story
downstairs.
published in 1929 by the Hungarian writer Frigyes Karinthy. He speculated that any 2 people in the world might be connected through no more than 5 intermediaries. Well, in 1967, the psychologist Stanley Milgram decided to test out that theory. He asked people in Nebraska and Kansas to forward a letter to a specific stockbroker in Boston using only their personal connections. On average, successful transmissions required 5 to 6 intermediaries. That study became famous, known as the small world experiment, and it gave birth to the modern notion of 6 degrees of separation. That idea was popularized by a 1990 play of that name and a 1993 movie, also called 6 Degrees of Separation. Then, of course, there was the idea further popularized by the party game called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which you probably remember, where people tried to connect any actor to a movie with Kevin Bacon in 6 moves or fewer. Now, in the years since those things, all in the 90s, the rise of social media, it's become even easier to test that theory. For example, in 2008, researchers found that of Facebook's 5.8 million users at the time, the average distance between users was 5.28 friends. By 2016, when it had 1.6 billion users, that distance was down to 4.57. Similar relationship was found on X, formerly known as Twitter. So there's enough evidence now to actually say that old saw is true. Everyone in the world is connected in a giant web, 6 links away on average from everybody else. Can you even imagine this web? What it might look like? So vast and so intricate? Like the roots of trees or the mycelium beneath mushrooms, the way that ants and bees communicate with each other. We humans are connected by vast networks, and sometimes we can feel those connections. We can actually be moved by them, sometimes in ways that are below or outside our conscious awareness. That is no accident, says science. Our brains evolved this way for a reason. When I was researching this sermon, the first article that came up in the brain research actually mentioned this book. It's groundbreaking in recent years. It's called Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, written by Matthew D. Lieberman, director of the UCLA's Social Cognitive Neuroscience Lab. who, weirdly enough, is an old friend of my husband, James. I am not lying. They went to graduate school together. We are all connected. In 15 years of brain imaging research, Lieberman has discovered that the area of the brain that is activated by social pain, that is by the sense of rejection or by losing a loved one, is the same area that's activated by physical pain, say when we break a leg or bruise an arm. Social pain and physical pain are deeply connected at the brain level. Lieberman writes, given the fact that our brains treat social and physical pain similarly, should we as a society treat social pain differently than we do? We don't expect someone with a broken leg to just get over it. And yet when it comes to the pain of loss, that is a common response. Our culture discounts social pain, treats it as less than, but our brains know differently. We know that we are built for connection. Lieberman goes on, the pain of social loss and the ways that an audience's laughter can influence us are no accidents. To the extent that we can characterize evolution as designing our modern brains, this is what our brains are wired for, reaching out to and interacting with others. These are designed features, not flaws. These social adaptations are central to making us the most successful species on Earth. We are all connected. Though our culture preaches individualism and independence, we UUs know that there is more to life than that. We uphold the value of interdependence. In our new values statement adopted last June, we declared interdependence, one of our 6 core values, all centered around love. Quote, we honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. Today, when you connected the yarn in the pews, you started a project, a piece of art that's going to symbolize all those connections. Do we need that? Do we need a reminder of our connection? Sometimes we do. Right now, our country is in trouble. Some of us are directly impacted by that. Many of us are worried and hurting because of that. And I sense that that has brought us together in recent weeks. Let us know even stronger about our connections. We're sharing our outrage and action alerts through our new pro-democracy team mailing list. We're showing up here in Melrose and in Boston to let the world know that we object to what's happening. We are boycotting, we are organizing and planning. We are getting our sense of power and agency back. We need each other now and here in this congregation as much as ever, maybe more than ever. And blessedly, we know we can depend on one another here. A good example of that is our new caring team, which has had a lot of work to do this year and is coming through beautifully. There's been a lot of need, but thanks to our organizer, Susan Danielson, we've been able to meet that demand. Just this past week, I read the most beautiful email thread between caring team members and a person they've been helping lately, who was just surprised and overwhelmed by the love that she'd been showered with. I don't want to embarrass her, but I want you all to know just how beautifully our caring team is coming through these days. Every day here, we are living out our commitment, our knowledge and our belief and our faith that we are all connected. We come to this church because it provides for us, for our need for connection and belonging. In one sense, that belonging is free. Everyone who shares our values is welcome here on Sunday, of course. In another sense, however, it is not free because it costs money to run this building, to hold these services. And that's why we run the pledge drive every year. This year, we need to raise $200,000 in the pledge drive to fund our caring team, our pro-democracy team, our religious education program. And we have 88 pledge units. If you round that number up to 100 and quickly divide, you see that each pledge unit, you could say, is responsible for about $2,000 just to make this place run. Thankfully, many of you pledge more than $2,000, and I appreciate that. And some of you pledge less. If you do, maybe this is the year to reconsider that, to think about what your connection to this place means. My husband and I pledge $3,000 every year. We're not wealthy, but we give until we can feel it, and it feels good. So I invite you this year to give until you can feel it. Feel your deep connection to this place, this tradition, these people sitting around you, your connection to our caring team, our social justice team, our food ministry, our work in this community, your connection to our values and to what we stand for. Sometimes I feel it, writes Rosemary Watola Tromer in our call to worship. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the wild thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity. Alone as we are, our small voices weave into one big conversation. Our actions are essential to the one infinite story of what it is to be alive. Do you feel that? I feel that here often. If you do, I invite you to join me in giving to this wonderful place where we hold sacred the value of connection, our holy interdependence, and we live it out together every day. Amen. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in the closing hymn, which I have chosen because I think the chorus is kind of a prayer, and a prayer that we need these days. So I invite you to join me in number 115. The words will be up here on the screen. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. Please be seated. Our worship service is ended. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you to our musicians today and all of our helpers. I invite anyone to please join us for refreshments afterward in Parish Hall, which is the big room that way. And I hope you all have a happy Sunday.